What strategies does Nigeria need to further adopt to leverage its local content to grow its oil and gas industry? We now bring you conversations from the 9th Practical Nigerian Content held here in Bayelsa in the heart of the Niger Delta on CNBC Africa's special highlights of the event. Many thanks to you for joining us. I am Christy Cole. Welcome.
I hereby declare open the 9th Annual Practical Nigerian Content Forum.
The Practical Nigerian Content event is used every year to share our report card on implementation, the status of the strategic initiatives under the 10-year strategic roadmap. The operators and in-country service providers also showcase their capacity and capabilities and achievement.
The Practical Nigerian Content Forum has consistently provided a platform for policy shapers, captains of industry, and major stakeholders across the entire oil and gas value chain to convene and discuss at the highest level and find solutions to the most important issues surrounding Nigerian content implementation. It further provides the opportunity to discuss the keys to unlocking the industry's potential through effective Nigerian content development, deployment, and implementation.
Leveraging content development to grow and expand Nigeria's oil and gas sector. The latest in a series of discussions facilitated by drivers of local content in Nigeria at the 9th Practical Nigeria Content Conference, which took place inside the newly completed 1,000-seater, 17-story NCDMB Conference Center. No doubt an avenue to meet and greet, the event, which was also, more importantly, an opportunity to discuss oil sector prospects, lined up professionals who shared practical steps to deepen local content implementation in the oil and gas industry.
Periodically, it makes sense for the operators and regulators and everyone involved in the industry to come together just to review things, you know. Where are we now? Where do we want to go? And I think from that point of view, it's been very good. Because at the end of the day, it's about getting Nigerians to fully participate, and we should be doing everything to block all loopholes.
Well, it brings to the table, to the platform, the various issues that are affecting all stakeholders, whether the IOCs, the indigenous oil companies, the policymakers, the legislative people, the people in the National Assembly, as well as service companies, whether they're multinational service companies or local service companies, everything to do with the sector, local content and business, everything to do with oil and gas. It brings it to the platform, and the issues, the current issues, the issues that need to be addressed, the issues that need to be highlighted are all brought, to the fore. How do we increase activity in the sector? Especially with the emerging markets in Africa, and also the changing laws within Nigeria, also the initiatives that have been put in place by NCDMB in terms of financing or creating that infrastructure that is much needed in the oil and gas sector to boost activity. It also centered around the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which is, as you know, it's coming into effect in 2020, July. So we're looking at, how can we, harness the market that's opening up huge opportunities in Africa? How can indigenous service companies take advantage of this market? How can Nigerians take advantage of the market that's opening up?
We're discussing deepening technical capacity within the oil and gas industry. And from my perspective as a service provider, I feel that intentional collaboration as well as strategic partnership is key in terms of growing capacity of service providers and vendors who are operating in the industry.
Going into R&D and innovation, of course, that's a step forward. It's after you've been using tools that you can start improving on them. So the barriers are the various regulatory frameworks we're talking about. The IOCs are talking now. There are issues around them complaining about quality of our assets, even the assets owned. There are issues around maintenance, culture, okay? So those are the things we need to focus on. First, give comfort to ownership. Give comfort to operability. Give comfort to maintenance. Then we move to the next level of innovating.
There are so many issues, but Rome is not built in a day. So it's step by steps. We identify most pressing issues, and we work hard within a short period to implement, to find solutions.
Some stakeholders present credited the growth of local content in Nigeria to efforts of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board since its creation. Nigeria's local content policy calls for value addition or creation through the utilization of Nigerian resources and services within the country's petroleum industry. Executive Secretary NCDMB Simbi Wabote says, having observed compliance levels in the sector, it is time to consider rewards for oil companies that show support for driving local content in Nigeria.
What we're trying to do is that there are some indigenous producers, international producers, as well as contractors in the oil and gas sector that are really in the forefront of driving local content. We want to give them that recognition. And it's not just going to be recognition for all. There's a template and there's a parameter that has been set, discussed with the industry to say these are the parameters with which we will use to judge those who have really contributed to the growth of local content within a time period, because it's going to be a continuous yearly assessment, or every 2 years we assess their attainment and their participation in the development of local content.
If this conference was happening 15 years ago, perhaps an expatriate will be making this presentation to you. But on the back of the partnership and the same vision with NCDMB, today I'm very proud to say my leadership is 100% Nigerian. From my Deputy Managing Director, the Company Secretary, 100% Nigerian managed company delivering absolute value. But a lot of people would often say, but why do you say 100% Nigerian-led but 95% Nigerian staff level? Yes, 95% because we create 5% for diversity mix and exchange of technology.
The Practical Nigerian Content, this is the 9th edition, and I followed through from the very first one. It's been changing every year. One of the major benefits, it brings everybody together. It makes you look back and say, yes, the conference is actually for us. As an indigenous player, what's important is that I'm able to network, speak to my other contemporaries, and then also speak to major stakeholders.
Oil and gas for fabrication, it has a lot of value. And within those values, I think we can see the improvement of what the last ones were. And we can actually see the ability of the industry or overall those in business to actually see long-term benefit of investing more into the industry and looking at the outlook over time.
To stay relevant and retain our license to operate, oil companies must reinvent their purpose, compete more effectively in order to compete more effectively in the emerging energy economy. Companies must learn to focus on the essence of their business, rethink their operating models, and embrace new technology while adopting new workforce strategies that drive and strive to create more agile and adaptable, and in the current world, very well connected workforce. This is why I think that the capacity building initiatives of NCDMB is actually a stitch in time.
I think the board has done a great job. I'd like to say that first of all, from when they took off, and we now see them enforcing the laws, and you can see the laws in action, really, which is great. So local content, and we can see the impact on local content and the increase in activity in local content, and that is fantastic to see. Going forward, we want to see. I think that they're already moving in the right direction. I mean, the initiatives they put in place for financing. Finance is a big issue, the infrastructure they're putting in place. So they're on the right track. All the initiatives they talked about at this conference are the initiatives that need to be put in place to get us to the next level. And so we're looking forward to that. We'd like to see maybe them spending a bit more time on how do we export this technology now? How do we export these services now? How do we, the ease of business to export technology with this emerging market? Maybe that's the next thing, and I'm sure it's the next initiative that they'll start working on after this conference.
We look forward to seeing you next year as our 10th year, and we hope that we'll do something that will be fitting of the 10th anniversary.
This has been the CNBC Africa special highlights of activities at the 9th Practical Nigerian Content held in Bayelsa in the heart of the Niger Delta. I am Christy Cole. Many thanks to you for watching. From the team and I, it's goodbye.